Hello everyone, and welcome to this series of tutorials about Obvia, where we discuss how to actually use Obvia. And in this first video I would like to explain how to actually get Obvia into your computer. In order to do this, you will need to be familiar with three main tools. The first one is Git and GitHub. Then the next one would be the XAMPP control panel. And then would be Visual Studio Code or any other editor of your choice. But basically what you need to do is be somewhat familiar with these technologies, and there are many tutorials and many sources on the internet which you can learn more. And you can also follow this video and actually see what I do or how I use them as well. So the first step would be to go to GitHub. And our URL is github.com/obviajs/obvia. Now normally you can get the code directly from here, but what I would recommend you doing is actually forking it in your own repository. So what forking does is it creates a copy of the framework in your own repository. So as we can see here, it is actually forking, and there we have it. We have a copy of Obvia in our own repository. Now, in order to get it in your own computer, as I said, you have to have XAMPP. So and if you have XAMPP, you can go to the local disk C, XAMPP, and htdocs, and this is actually the folder which you can actually clone it. So what we need to do here is click git bash and give the command git clone, which basically means that it will clone the repository in your own local repository, aka in your computer. And what I do here is I come here and I copy this. And when I go to Git, I will click it and it will clone everything in my own local repository. And as you can see, Obvia is here. Now, for the next step, we actually need to open Obvia in the Visual Studio Code, and we can click Open Folder. We can go to local disk C, XAMPP, htdocs, Obvia, and click it. Here you can find everything about the code. You can check out all the components that Obvia has, and you can actually check out the examples on how to use the components. There is also this file index.html, which will actually display any component or any example of your choosing, and they are already defined here but commented out, and the only component that is actually in is the single upload example, which we will check how it works. And if this works, it means that your framework has been downloaded and installed correctly in your computer. So next thing you have to do is you have to activate the XAMPP control panel, which means that then you can access the files in your local host in your web browser. And as you can see, this folder will be your local host in the browser. And the folder is Obvia and the file is index.html. So if we go to the browser, I open a new tab, localhost/obvia/index.html. I click it, and there you go. As you can see, the framework has been downloaded correctly and is actually working. So this is the first step. If you can manage to do this, then you already can use the framework with the next steps.